You're listening to Roots and Rise with Kels and Madi.
Rooted in wisdom, rising together.
Hi. Same place, same time, same outfit.
Different episode.
Short episode. This is going to be like a make you thinker episode.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Can't wait. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, we're going off the cuff, but here are some things that I think we should do, like little sprinkles of short fused episodes where you can listen to this. It's going to encourage you to think. It's going to encourage a conversation, and it might encourage some action, all encompassed in what God might be saying to us today.
I love this. It's like a little challenge.
A little challenge. Okay. So, and this is where Maddie and I in real time are going to like discuss this, as I hope you either discuss it with a friend or with yourself.
We have no notes.
We have no notes. Yes. So, I'm going to go with the gut, and the prompt for the day is: in what areas are you actively loving your enemies? I will go first. So I will say that enemies look different in different seasons of life. And I think the word enemy typically has a little bit of a heavy connotation. Let me turn it and spin it to make it a little bit more positive. Enemy is not something that or somebody that's necessarily just against you. It could be an aspect of your life that's really, really heavy. For example, when I was in the middle of my job and I was working 1,000,000 hours and I was unable to prioritize my family, and I was unable to really prioritize alone time with God.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have enough time for myself. I was feeling a huge weight, but I felt like I was doing it for God. So therefore I was justified in the feelings. What I identified really as the enemy was that I wasn't actively pursuing God, so I couldn't hear his voice. I was actively pursuing the church. I was actively pursuing the people. I was actively pursuing my role, but I wasn't pursuing where God was calling me into. And he was calling me closer to my children and to my husband. And I felt wildly uncomfortable. In that season, the enemy was a younger version of Kelsey, who was screaming at me that I was going to look like a failure to the world. And that if I quit and if I changed, paths, and if I changed direction, that I was going to look like a failure. And I will say that confronting that enemy with God by my side has been one of those deeply transformative things that I have, in the process of the first time I ever confronted it. I remember it vividly. It was in October of 2024. And I laid out this huge piece of paper and I wrote down the pros and the cons of the current situation. I then wrote a plan moving forward. The plan did not necessarily come to fruition exactly. Mm-hmm. It was so much better. What happened after,
as it usually is,
so much better. But what I felt God saying in my heart was, keep going, keep pursuing me, keep pursuing my voice. And in the process, he dropped some angels, and he dropped some guidance and some pathways that he lit up really brightly. He also allowed a really gracious transition to where I still get to work in the church that I love in a capacity that really works for my family. But I was able to prioritize them while also finding different career paths that really aligned with where God was calling me into. But the enemy in that season was the old version of myself, was like, you're supposed to be a Broadway and movie star. Why are you even, like, you're going to put being a normal person ahead of all of these other dreams? And to that I say, I love you, young Kelsey, so much. and I know exactly what you're fighting for, and I know exactly the voices that you're listening to, but I want to say that God's got this. You don't need to carry this anymore. God's got us, and we're good. We're good right now. So
That's so good.
that just came right from me.
Sometimes I feel like it's hard to know if we're following God's path or our own, like discerning the difference. And I've talked about that with people a lot. Like, how do I know if this is where I'm supposed to be? And I think it's a feeling of alignment. Like when you know, like God sends you God winks. But I truly believe that it doesn't happen until you start spending quality time with our Lord. Like, and it sounds so cheesy but like you really do have to sit and talk to God as if it's a friend. Like he knows your heart. You don't have to sugarcoat it. But
that's the only way for us to experience transformation is to really spend time with God, because we are not enough. Really. I mean, we are not enough to make that transformation complete. I'm convinced. And I have plenty of other items that I could describe as far as loving your enemies. We've got some family drama. We've got some worldly drama. We've got some all of that. But it's at the end of the day, I think a lot of us might relate to the fact that the enemy kind of resides within. The enemy's in the house.
Our worst enemy is inside of us.
The call is coming from within the house.
Gosh, that's a huge mind blown emoji. The truth of it is the biggest enemy is in between our two ears. And it is. It's most of what ails us could be solved by us. Boundaries, detachment, loving, forgiveness, working through resentments, getting off social media, like learning yourself by connecting with your God and knowing what brings you closer to him and what brings you farther. Because the closer you get to God, the farther you get from hate. And it's hard to hate your enemies when you're full of love.
Yeah.
Full of God.
Really is.
God is love. So
okay, you go.
I think that was mine. I don't know. Yeah, like I'm going to hold myself accountable. I am my own worst enemy. I make up stories in my head all the time, and then I have to sit down and go, that's not true. That's not what's happening, Maddie.
Wow. For us to acknowledge that we're like I think it's a very self-reflective thing for us to be able to be like, we actually are.
I think that here's mine. A lot of times, and I know I'm not the only person that does this, we come up with a narrative in our head based on information we've gathered. And this is just something that our brain does. It's supposed to do. We gather all the information, we come up with a narrative, and then we go, that person did this because of this. And then you end up finally talking to that person or figuring out the situation. You're like, wow, I was actually pretty far off. You are a good person. I made you into a bad person. My brain did that. But if I had paused and prayed and gone to God, he probably would have shown me actually, remember that one time when you acted this way because this was happening? That's quite similar to what that person was doing. So like I said, I am the enemy. So I think that acknowledgement, I think a lot of people need to look in the mirror and go, where it starts here.
Yeah. When you were talking about the thought that came forward was, sometimes it's really easy for me to be like, that's a bad person.
Yeah.
Really, I think it's either we're good people or we're people that are hurt.
We're all bad people. Because we're all hurt.
Well, we're all sinful, and that's why we need
And we're
God.
supposed to be. Yeah.
And that's just
so here's your reminder is that you are not better than anyone else. We're saying this, we're preaching to each other. We are not better than anyone else. We are loved the same by our God completely as everyone else. And we owe love to everyone. Do not confuse love with giving too much of yourself,
Yep.
allowing yourself to be run ragged.
That can be the next
But
topic that we talk about.
Yeah.
Because I think that most people need to understand the difference of like, the loving your neighbor, but it's like, I don't have 6 hours to give.
The yard theory.
Yes.
Control what's in your yard. If it's going over and damaging them, cut it off. But if they're, you don't go over there and mow their yard. We'll get into that next episode.
Yep.
I've done enough therapy. I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Well,
All right,
love
we
you guys.